We're not doing the intro. You know what? We're going to kick into the intro. We'll be back in about a minute and a half. See you then. It's not playing. I'm clicking it right now. What's going on?
I was ready
What's
to get
that?
hyped up by Gruden.
What's that Fox News thing that went viral? Like, we'll do it live. We'll do it live.
Fuck it,
Okay,
we'll do it
so
live.
just so everybody knows, I'm clicking every video clip that's possible here. So at some point in the show, they may just start playing. But until then, welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, and thank you, Restream, for such a great product. I will absolutely upgrade on this Black Friday. You're doing so well. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. If anyone has Thanksgiving questions, anything related to that, we can definitely side tangent off of that. I feel like this is a time to be thankful and a time to certainly be talking about things other than football, but we will talk about football first and foremost. Oh, now I'm getting a message on the screen. Can't play the video clip. Contact support. So I will not. That's fine. But yeah, we will be going through rankings. I'm still the number 2 ranker. And this Saturday, if you are available, if you have fantasy questions whatsoever, on Reddit r/fantasy football, I'll be doing an AMA. I'm getting spammed with all the messages of failed video clips now. I'm going to be doing an AMA at 1 p.m. Central over there. It was good last time. We had like 300 plus questions, and we will be doing it once again. And the more questions that are not related to fantasy football, just the random BS questions, I'm going to let you know. If those catch my eye, I will skip to those first. I am what I am. But let's talk about our quarterback rankings first. And if anyone has questions in the chat, ask away. And we will do that first. But quarterbacks this week, pretty straightforward. For number 1 quarterback's Jalen Hurts. He plays the Ravens. Ravens obviously strong against the run, weak against the pass. So it made me a little bit hesitant, but I still feel like the fact that they're so strong against the run, it feels like a Saquon tackled at the 1 yard line 5 times type of game. And we shall see. That's obviously great for Jalen. Number 2, Josh Allen off his bye versus the Niners. I have Lamar Jackson 3 versus Philly. I have Justin Herbert 4 at Atlanta. I love that matchup for the Chargers. And I have Baker Mayfield 5 at Carolina. Revenge game. So all the good juju, all the good vibes of Carolina right now. I hope and I feel like Baker Mayfield's going to crush their dreams. I really hope so. But what do you think about those 5, Trevor?
I mean, it's the 5 we've been talking about all year, minus Baker Mayfield. But even him, like coming into the season, we talked he's a great value at the tail end of the draft. To your point, it seems like the tush push and Barkley getting tackled at the 2 is inevitable. I don't know how. I think you said off air, like, I want to see the stats on it because it just seems like every time he gets tripped up at the 1. But until that tush push changes, like, he's got to be number 1. Obviously, Lamar's got to be up there as well. But I do like Baker's upside against Carolina because if anybody's going to actually take a revenge game personally, it will be Baker Mayfield. And so he will look to torch the living crap out of Carolina.
I cannot wait for that. I really hope they do. Luke, would you like me to cruise through those 5 quarterbacks again quick? You are muted. You are the new Trevor of the show. Welcome. How's it feel? Trevor, how's it feel on this end of it?
Imagine if I responded muted.
It felt like that's what's going to happen. It is weird. Luke, you're muted, and I will get to a question from Manning. Luke, you are. I mean, there's no volume. Should I start DJ Moore or Mooney? People are confused about Mooney this week. I've had a few questions about that. Obviously, he plays the Chargers. And Luke, you may not be muted, but you have no mic. So it's one or the other. We can't hear you. And there's no sound coming through. I like what I saw from DJ Moore last week. I just don't like necessarily the matchup against the Vikings. They're going to have to get the ball out quick. He'll catch a lot of screens. So I do side with Mooney still. I think it's close, though, but I do side with Mooney. Where are you at with those 2?
I like Mooney. There are a lot of mouths to feed here in Chicago. Since the new offensive coordinator, I believe Odunze's first in target share, and 19 in Allen, and then DJ Moore. Obviously, it's a 2-game sample, so it's a little different. But the good thing is they do have a tough matchup against the Lions. They need to be passing the ball. So he should be okay. But I trust somebody like Mooney more than somebody who, could very well be 4th on the pecking order in terms of targets and receptions. Will that happen? Maybe not, but it's possible.
I was thinking Vikings. Yeah, Lions. It's the same typical thing though. Lions have been super good, but they made it a point the past 2 weeks definitely to get the ball to DJ Moore. So I do like them. It's just anyone who plays the Falcons is going to have a good day. The Falcons coming into the season, the Falcons during the season, the Falcons right now have the same exact issue across the board. And I've been screaming about it. And it's literally the only reason why they're not Super Bowl contenders, in my opinion. They don't have any pass rush whatsoever. They rank dead last in sack percentage. They rank dead last in completion percentage allowed. And that's because they can't get a pressure. So the quarterbacks can just sit back there and find the open guy. And if you're saying that any of these guys on the Chargers can find open guys, like that's what it is. And then flip side, like it hurts their offense too. So like Mooney gets to play the It's not the easiest matchup. It's not the hardest matchup, but I think I still go there just because the secondary coverage from the Chargers is not overly strong, I guess. I'm a little worried about Drake London this week, to be honest, but in terms of the number 2 receiver, I think Mooney can eat. Luke, are you here? No. Trevor, do you hear him? I'm not wrong, right? Okay. Well, you do what you got to do. Yeah, maybe connect a different mic. If you click the sun.
Some are saying the lights are too bright for him. I mean, we could hear him perfectly fine before we went live, but we went live and he just went mute. Some people are saying this.
That is true. He's choking. Other quarterbacks that are notable, not a ton. I feel like I hate Geno in the revenge game matchup, to be honest, against the Jets coming off of a bye. Jets defense has still played pretty well. Their only weakness really is stopping the run, and I don't think that really benefits the Seahawks. And Seattle's offensive line has been shaky for sure. So I think the coverage is good on the back end. I think the Jets are going to get I think they're going to get a lot of pressure. And I think that hurts DK Metcalf a ton. I think that hurts Geno Smith quite a bit. So if you have Geno Smith, I do think you should look elsewhere. I will say I seemingly am like a lot of people where I have Jameis and Geno in a lot of leagues. For whatever reason, that pairing is coming up a lot from questions I've gotten at least. I hate Jameis too. Jameis plays the Broncos, and I think the Broncos are legit. So in that case, I would still start Geno. But boy, I'm not a huge fan of either player. I have Geno at 18. I have Jameis at 24. And I should say for these rankings, big update coming tonight/tomorrow morning before the Thanksgiving games. A lot of stuff has to get sorted out. Quarterbacks is pretty solid though. Quarterbacks, tight ends, I feel like I'm rock solid on. Wide receivers, running backs, I need to change some things. But yeah. Any other quarterback that how do you feel about Anthony Richardson? Obviously, great week, and then he had a terrible week, and now he plays the Patriots.
I'm not trusting him at all, ever, until he shows me he can be consistent. Not only this year and next year, like, he should be able to do well against the Patriots, but I don't know if it's just my past Patriots bias or whatever, or, Bill Belichick hangover, but like, I'm still not liking starting any quarterback against the Patriots, even though it's a completely different team. I'm not going to start a player who calls his own number to come out. That's just not what I'm going to do. And if we know anything about the Colts, it's that this is going to be a dogfight. This seems like a game where Anthony Richardson goes 10 for 22 with 145 yards, a touchdown, a pick, and 40 running yards. I don't see him getting 2 rushing touchdowns or 200 yards in the air. So I'm not starting him. I'm benching him for pretty much any quarterback here.
He's a free agent in a lot of leagues I've seen. And like initially I'm like, oh, I got to pick him up. And then I'm like, actually, I really don't. I'm fine where I'm at. Luke, I think I hear you.
So I'm here.
Good? Cool. You are here. Manning wants to know, dudes, and nice talking about the Broncos. His name is Manning. Makes sense. Do you think the Broncos are going to draft a running back in the upcoming draft? I think 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
They certainly seem like a spot who could go after G&T, but Sean Payton wants to get like his guys. That's his whole thing. I don't think they saw enough out of Estime to like keep rolling with him. So I think he's going to draft like his quote unquote guy. I think Javante's done. McLaughlin kind of is what he is. Estime isn't a bell cow. So I do think they go after somebody. They could go after Gene T in round 1, early 2 or something, but I could see them getting like a solid guy in the 3rd. This is a super deep running back draft. So if you're a dynasty guy, a lot of running backs in this draft, I think.
Gene T to me seems like a guy who goes to Dallas.
Maybe.
It's a good skill player draft all around.
It is. I think it falls off for receivers pretty quickly, but I think overall it's pretty good. But I think it's going to be so weird to see how, I don't know who the free agents are for running backs this year. But if there are any free agents, obviously there's some, I feel like they're going to get paid nothing. Like people are acting like, oh, the Saquon, the Derrick Henry, these situations are going to completely turn around the running back market. And it really isn't whatsoever. Like the running backs coming in are so good, and there's going to be so many jobs available. There's going to be so many committees. So it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be gross.
So I have that list. Tell me if you trust any of them. All right.
Free agents?
Yeah. James Conner, Aaron Jones, Najee, Jeff Wilson, AJ Dillon, Chubb, Javante, Zeke, Madison, Abdullah, CEH, Dobbins, P. Ryan, Dare, Dowdle, Akers. Like it's going to be bad.
Najee will get picked up by somebody and have a role. Aaron Jones will have a short contract role. But like I think legitimately we could see James Conner almost fully out of the league. Zeke's done, obviously. AJ Dillon's done. Like people like that. But for the most part, like even James Conner, he's so good this year. He's been bad last week. He's gonna be bad this week too. But he may not even sign until like October next year. Like it's going to be one of those situations where these guys are going to get picked up randomly. Nick Chubb is a weird one because I think he's starting to look a little bit more like Nick Chubb. And I feel like the Browns kind of owe it to him to sign him back. So we'll see if they're scumbags or if they actually sign him back. I mean, they are scumbags, but like you're willing to spend money like on all of the worst people whatsoever, all the worst contracts. You better sign Nick Chubb because he's like the only one Browns fans have felt good cheering for lately. He thinks Dallas gets Gene T. Broncos could get Judkins in the 2nd round. That's possible. I mean, Dallas would have to trade back to get Gene T. They're not going to take him that early, I don't think. Because Dallas is probably a top 10 pick, right? I don't see any way he goes top 10. Great running back, but that would be, I mean, that's a Jerry Jones move, maybe. It would be a terrible move to draft a running back top 10, in my humble opinion.
They did it before with Zeke.
That's true. And you can't say that it didn't work out, I suppose, right? Like, I don't think Zeke was ever incredible as an individual player, but he was very trustworthy for 5-6 year stretch or so. Luke, is there any quarterbacks you want to talk about?
Do we know any updates? I know we're still kind of early in the week here. Like I imagine people are still hanging. Like there's Brock Purdy owners out there that are, you know, are gonna have to do another streamer again this week. I guess I'm just thinking I have Purdy in a couple leagues. That's my only concern.
I mean, he was limited today, so take that for what it's worth. Like he was limited last week as well. And then all of a sudden he couldn't finish practice near the end of the week. So it truly is day to day, I think. I mean, he plays the Bills. Like, it feels like a game he would play.
It's 1-2 where it's Sunday night. So you only, if he doesn't play, you only have 3 more options, and Josh Allen isn't going to be an option.
Right. I feel like there's quarterbacks available that you can lean on. Like, I don't think Purdy's going to be so incredible against the Bills where he's worth waiting on. Bills' pass defense is pretty good. I think you could run all day against them, but their pass defense is okay.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, you wrote the quarterback streamers article, so you know for sure some of the guys who are available, if you want to say those.
Yeah, I don't hate a Will Levis this week.
He's been fine. You know what I mean? Like he's been okay. Washington's defense isn't good.
Right.
We need to stop even pretending that's the case. So could Will Levis pass for 302 touchdowns? For sure.
Yeah.
100%. This is a game, by the way, Tennessee can win.
For sure.
I'm going to look up quickly what the spread is. I truly think they should be favored in this game. Like looking at these two teams, I don't think Washington's very good. I think their defense is bad. I think their offensive line isn't that great. And I think their pass catchers aren't that great. I think Terry McLaurin's fine.
I think it was like 2 weeks ago. It was like plus 2,000 for Washington to miss the playoffs.
Washington is favored by a touchdown. 6.5.
Yeah, that's too much.
Way too much.
I mean, they beat the Giants by combined 8 points twice. They beat the Bears by 3 on a Hail Mary. And since then, they've lost Steelers, didn't look great against the Eagles, and somehow lost to the Cowboys. This is not a great team.
Maybe I'm biased, just like tied to my preseason take, but Luke and I went through every single team. I thought the Titans were a playoff team. I still think they're a playoff team with a horrendous quarterback. And if they had competent quarterback play in half of their games this year, like they would be fine. They would be a playoff team. So if Will Levis all of a sudden is not losing them games, they're going to start winning a bunch of these games to the point where it really hurts their draft stock, which sucks, but they're not a bad football team. Their defense is straight up good.
Right.
Like they're pushing top 7 defense, I think. Not that that's elite, I suppose, but they're not bad. In terms of quarterbacks, I'm higher, lower on. I think CJ Stroud, you can trust him again. Last week, I didn't think he was great. He gets Jacksonville this week. If he sucks against Jacksonville, I think he's droppable.
Yeah,
but I think he's good this week, though. I'm at 7. That's 2 spots higher than the consensus. I'm also 2 spots higher on Baker at 5. I'm not sure if you were on for that, Luke, but Baker playing Carolina feels like in this revenge spot, I feel like Baker's going to spank them.
Yeah, I think too. It's a divisional. Like you talk about Baker for a revenge game. Like Mike Evans usually dominates in divisional games, I guess, other than Marshawn Lattimore. But coming back after the injury, like Mike Evans was fine last week. He was a touchdown away from being like a top 10, top 15 guy. I think he's very involved in this game.
I agree. Yeah, I like him as well when we get to receivers. People I'm lower on Jaden Daniels again playing Tennessee. I respect them too much. And I'm 4 lower on Anthony Richardson at 16. Who do they play again? They play the Patriots. So I don't know. I'm 3 lower on Aaron Rodgers at 28. It could be a spot where Aaron Rodgers comes out and torches. You know what I mean? It's the Seahawks. Seahawks aren't very good. I'm out on the Jets.
Yeah, I agreed.
It's insane.
I'm giving him one last shot. I'm envisioning, the good old days when he was with the Packers near the tail end, and they would just torch the Seahawks every time. But I mean, we thought they would torch the Patriots. We thought they'd at least be able to beat the Broncos early season. They haven't done anything. I don't know. I don't know where the problem lies either. Like, it's not all Aaron Rodgers' fault, but it's not his fault as well. So, like, there are a lot of moving parts here.
I will say the last time reporters talking shit about him, he won 2 MVPs the next 2 seasons. So
I know, but they were talking shit all off season. And I don't think this is an Aaron Rodgers issue whatsoever. I think he's going to play great football next year. I just think this team there's only so much you can do with losers.
Right.
And if they're losers, like you can't make losers winners. I think this is a guaranteed Jets win. And that's a tough thing to do. But I mean, Seattle's not good. And it's a noon game in MetLife. Like that's tough for a team flying across the country for that. So could Aaron Rodgers kept a sleeping Seattle defense, like catch them off guard early? For sure. I don't think their pass rush is something to be too afraid of. So the inability of the Jets offensive line at the current moment, like that is kind of protected. Theoretically, Rodgers spent the bye week to get Devontae more comfortable and involved in the offense. That would be huge. We'll see. I would love nothing more for the Jets to win every game the rest of the way.
For sure.
And by the way, they still could be in the playoffs at that point. Probably not, but Like the bottom half of both of these conferences are so bad.
Yeah.
They're not good. But especially, like, could they pass the Colts and the Browns? Like, yeah, it's not
The
that
fact
hard.
that the Bills have a chance to win the division this week is crazy.
Disgusting. It's so gross. Bills aren't good. They're not a good team, and they're going to clinch a playoff spot. Okay. Running backs. And if you guys got any questions, definitely drop them in the chat. Some people still have their trade deadline this week, which is interesting.
I do.
Do you? Okay. This is, I think, the last possible one.
Yep.
Which
Speaking
is
of
nice.
Speaking of trade deadlines, I got a question for you guys. I saw something interesting on Blue Sky talking about a trade deadline with Dynasty and saying how they don't have a trade deadline at all because it leads to some wonky trades for the finals. What do you guys think about that? Because on one end, I'm like, I kind of like it, but at the same time, like, if you have people you don't trust, it can get incredibly lopsided, and then you can, in essence, buy a title and kick the can, and then, like, what's stopping you from leaving the league?
You have to have it cut off because there's a change in mindset once you know you're out.
Right.
Like if you know you're out and literally have nothing to play for, especially in the leagues that, and we need to tweak this for ours. We need to talk probably early next week. But for the ones where you can just tank in the losers bracket or whatever, like it benefits you to just tank. Like people are just going to sell the players who are somewhat valuable this year. Like they would sell an Adam Thielen for anything. They would sell it. It doesn't matter. Nick Chubb, James Conner. James Conner could be a league winner this year. He has a nice matchup down the stretch, and next year he could be jobless the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Dynasty, you got to have some sort of deadline. But again, after the season, I think immediately open it back up. I think that's fine if you want to do that. Gary, what's up? And this is a relatable comment, I think. Getting anxiety with Taysom Hill. So, boy. I either start him and lose or bench him and lose. Yep.
Fair.
Don't ask me to explain how that's mathematically possible. No, we get it. It seems like you're only going to make the wrong decision with Taysom Hill.
He's a one-of-a-kind player.
He is. At the moment, though, it feels like they need him. So I think he's safe. The fact that until Chris Olave comes back, I think Taysom Hill's safe. Because they have to throw it to him, and he'll do all the other stuff too, mixed in. But if we know that they have to throw it to him, then I think he's safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they don't have anyone else to catch the ball right now.
Right. That's where I'm at.
Historically, I want to say sit him, right? Because, I mean, he this happens every year, right? He gets 2-3 game stretch, but he puts them in expert consensus at, tight end 5, tight end 7. He immediately drops off. We keep ranking him up there. But to your point, like, who else is going to do anything for New Orleans? They can't just take a knee for 60 minutes. So they got to be doing something. So it would be, I mean, it's a weird tight end landscape, too. Like, Jonnu Smith is a high-ranking play this week, I think. Taysom Hill, some of these names, man, it's wild.
Yeah, and they play the Rams, so I think this is going to be a competitive game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. So I think we could see a lot of drives in the red zone. If you get Taysom Hill in the red zone enough times, then he's probably going to see some carries there. So I think his touchdown upside is decent this week. I think he's probably going to have a minimum of 4 targets going his way, and he may play quarterback again. Saints have nothing to play for. Coach Riz, who's the interim coach there, he is just about putting the best players on the field at the moment.
Yep.
And if that's the case, and by the way, this is a guy who loves Taysom Hill because he's the special teams coach. Taysom Hill's a special teams guy. So I think this benefits Taysom Hill as well. So I like that. Manning's clip. Do you see Clip Next comments, by the way? We blocked them. So let me know. Let me know. We don't see it on our end. And I got to say, it's a delight. Glad to be here.
Did he comment on this?
Clip Next?
Yeah.
No, I blocked him last time. So
that's right.
He's done so. Gave you a shot. Sorry about it. Should I put cream cheese or peanut butter on a bagel? And in my opinion, you don't have a bad choice there.
Well, why can't we do both? I've done it before. It's great.
It is great. It's fantastic. Trevor is making a weird face. Trevor, also notably for the new viewers, Trevor didn't know you put cream cheese on a bagel, despite cream cheese being on bagels packaging and vice versa.
I think it's peanut butter. But you know what I saw? I saw the other day though. I found, and by found I mean I found it in my girlfriend's cupboard, that they have like a Nutella peanut butter spread. It's a little less chocolatey than you want it to be, but not bad. Not bad.
Is it Nutella's not peanuts though? Is it just Nutella?
It's peanut butter mixed with Nutella, so it's like a chocolate peanut butter spread. Not bad.
Well, it'd be
Oh.
hazelnut.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, why too much going on. Get it out of here. Doesn't make sense to me. Randy wants to know, should he starts Rodgers or May? I think Drake May.
Probably.
I think he's safe.
He's got a good match with Indianapolis this week.
Yeah. And he's been good.
Yep.
The fact that he has a good matchup now, like he's had some bad matchups and he's been fine, but he'll use his legs a little bit. And I like his receiving core, to be completely honest.
Yeah, there are playmakers around him, except they got rid of Tyquan Thornton. But other than that, they got good playmakers around him.
Did he get picked up?
I don't know. I just saw that they released him a couple weeks ago.
I know, and I didn't hear that he got picked up anywhere, and that also didn't necessarily surprise me.
Also,
It does feel like an Eagles pickup, though. I feel like that's what they would do.
yeah, kind of in the same vein of like fifth string receivers that I really like. Like when are the Browns unleashing Kadarius Toney here?
I don't know. I don't know. I was kind of on board. It looks like the Chiefs might have signed Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah, confirmed
Yeah,
by
looks
Randy.
like okay, yeah. that's interesting. It's weird that Kadarius Toney's on a team to not try to use him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Well, if you're not going to use him, he's not a locker room guy.
No, God, no.
Like why is he here? Either try to put the ball in his hands or get him out of here.
Yeah, you either use him for one play to watch how awesome he is, and then inevitably fuck up the worst possible way that you can fuck up as a football player, or you don't have him on a team.
Right. What's the point? Maybe the Browns use him. This would actually be smart. I'm not sure if they do that, but maybe they use him as scout team quarterback on Ravens week.
Maybe
That's not bad. That's actually kind of smart if they do that. Or maybe Mike Vrabel's there turning him into a football player. Maybe that's Vrabel's job.
It's all fun and games until Toney throws a touchdown against that defense and starts like telling the media to start him at quarterback.
Yeah,
sounds great to me. Like he's a playmaker. Get him the ball.
And to be honest, out of the quarterbacks on the Browns, Kadarius Toney is somehow not the worst human being there.
That's true. That's true. I'm not even sure if that's debatable. What's Gus Edwards' ceiling this week in PPR? I mean, ceiling is he falls in the end zone for a couple touchdowns.
I mean, I don't know that he's involved that much in the pass game.
No. I mean, he'll have a couple targets, but PPR versus standard, Gus, you're not ranking Gus Edwards differently.
Yeah.
But his ceiling's high just because there's no J.K. Dobbins now.
Yeah.
So Gus Edwards, he's going to get around 4 to 5 yards per carry. He's going to have a big workload now. He's probably going to have some goal line touches. Hopefully they don't continue to give Haskins goal line touches. That makes no sense to me. But his ceiling is a couple touchdowns for sure. We've seen it, and he's good enough to do that.
God, if we were in like NFL 2014 right now, this would be incredible Danny Woodhead territory.
Oh, God. Danny Woodhead, Rex Burkhead.
Yeah, same person.
Nothing. Yeah, same person. Nothing like those two. We need them back. Is there someone coming in the draft that we can compare him to? AKA, is there a white running back who's coming in who's any good? Because I'll get very excited about it. That'd be great. By the way, we have a membership. So if you get access to a fantasy chat, you get access to a bunch of data, you get access to a bunch of stuff. If you scan the QR code, or if you go to a bunch of Flurry Sports articles, you can buy the membership there for price of one coffee per month. You can be a member. And I bring that up because one of the things I'm thinking about doing in the off season is we've been very, very, very good at draft analysis. Not going to lie, toot my own horn. I might do a bunch of dynasty stuff and like rookie scouting and draft analysis that way and give it out for members. If that is something that interests you, not only sign up to become a member for $5 per month. What are you doing? Super simple. But let me know, because that is something I am willing to do and would be excited to do. It's something that'll take a lot of time, but something that I think is worthwhile, especially if you play Dynasty, because I can't tell you enough. There's so many Dynasty leagues where it's like you get to the third round and people just start trading away picks because they don't know who people are. And I mean, I can compare it to as recently as this year. I think I drafted Bucky Irving in the 4th round, possibly. And then I just traded him for a 2nd round pick this year. And that's because his value rose that much. Like, that is the type of thing you got to do.
Last year I drafted 5th round.
Yeah, I was just about to say Puka. I loved him too. And I looked up the running back draft class, the top 65 players. None of them are white, so we gotta wait another year.
Someone's gonna sneak in. They don't have to be ranked high. They just gotta make a practice squad.
That Nick Nash 4th round pick is gonna hit this year.
Yeah. You got to look at the smaller schools, just the ballers, because there's guys like that who are just straight ballers.
Mm-hmm.
Washington, I think, from Virginia.
Yeah,
he's on Miami. He's made a couple plays. He's going to end up doing something. Like, people like that, they're just straight ballers. They're great. Vele this year from Utah. He's someone who Sean Payton could really lock onto, and he could be the new Michael Thomas next year, legitimately.
Mm-hmm.
Check him out. George needs 2 non-PPR. He's got JSN, Harrison Jr., DJ Moore, Hopkins, Waddle, or Amari Cooper. I'm saying for sure.
Well,
I mean, I think I'm going both the first 2, honestly.
Yeah. Those 2 probably see the highest target share out of these 6 players.
I do like Waddle, though. He would be my 3rd.
Yeah, I agree. It's crazy that Amari Cooper is just nothing now. I mean, that's not his fault completely, but you know.
I was told at the trade deadline Amari Cooper is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. I haven't seen that yet, but
who on God's green earth said that?
So many people.
Yeah, I was also told that he's the reason.
That's wild.
They were playing highlights of him being wide open in Cleveland, talking about all these cuts and how great he is. I'm surprised that was a take. It felt like people just trying to get ahead of something just in case, but it was like legitimate people. It wasn't just like little fantasy creators who want to somehow make a name for themselves. It was legitimate people thinking Amari Cooper's an elite wide receiver, not just good, but elite.
That seems to be a theme of like any receiver that leaves Cleveland, everyone just cuts up their tape of them being wide open.
Yeah, I mean, recently Odell Beckham Sr. may have done that. I remember.
Well, they did it for Jarvis Landry too.
That's true.
Luke, you'll like this, kind of like how the NBA talking heads, once you get good enough, they're like, we want to see this guy in a big market.
Right.
That's how you know you made it. It's the same thing.
Yeah, NBA is so stupid. Best Thanksgiving dinner we have ever had. That's an interesting one. How often do your Thanksgiving dinners change up?
Rare.
That's kind of where my thought is. So it's like, I've had some good things at Thanksgiving, but they're there the next year as well, usually.
I had pizza last year.
Really?
Yep.
Like homemade, or we talking like? Okay.
There's got to be a story behind it.
No, I don't know. I was just by myself. My parents were in Florida.
Okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Was it good?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pothole pizza at Quick Trip. $9.99.
Those are good.
The meat sweats, very good.
There you go. There you go. Does the Giants or Cowboys beat the Giants tomorrow? Probably.
Yeah, I'm saying yes.
No Zach Martin. But I think Rico Dowdle has a really good day. Giants have been, okay, I'm trying to remember the stat. They lead the league in sack percentage at over 10%.
Yes.
And I believe over the last 3 games, they are close to 1%.
Yeah,
they're not even getting a pass rush anymore. They're done trying.
Yep.
So if they don't have that,
that's fair.
Done,
yeah,
so.
That's fine.
That's all I'm thinking about.
Drew Lock though, right? This week?
Maybe. I'm not sure if they've decided on that yet. Let me look. If so, it creates a situation for sure.
So
I saw somewhere he was questionable, DeVito.
DeVito's a long shot, they're saying. So probably Drew Lock.
So
and what's that mean?
Week 18, we're probably getting Tim Boyle.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we might get him before that, and then Ryan Tannehill before that, or I don't know. I don't know. It's gross. I don't like it. Drew Lock should push the ball down the field, I think, a little bit more. And Dayball supposedly is going to be making it a point to get neighbors involved. So if you have Drew Lock pushing the ball downfield, I know, and forcing the ball to neighbors, I could see a crazy neighbors game, but we'll see.
Ned Flanders, crazy neighbor.
True. We didn't really talk
not really that
about
crazy. If you think about it in the relationship, Homer is probably the crazier one than Ned.
it's about point of view for sure.
Yeah,
that's probably fair. Running backs, I have Saquon at number 1, and I don't like it, but I feel like if he goes off, I can't I would be so stupid not to rank him number 1. So
he had 305 yards last week.
I know he plays the Ravens. I don't like the matchup, but he's currently my number 1. We'll see. I have Joe Mixon number 2 at the Jags, though. I love that matchup.
Yeah.
I have Jahmyr Gibbs 3 versus Chicago tomorrow. Josh Jacobs 4 versus the Dolphins tomorrow. Achane 5 at the Packers tomorrow.
Yeah.
I may move Gibbs down a little bit. I kind of wanted to see what Montgomery was doing this week, but it seems like he's going to be a full go and fine. But what's your thoughts on those 5 running backs, Luke?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like, if you rank Saquon low, he goes for 305 yards and 2 touchdowns, then you just feel like a complete idiot, right? Joe Mixon, incredible. Devon Achane, I like a lot. Like him and Jonnu Smith. Not that they are Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but in the passing game, they've kind of taken over, the brunt share. I guess the touchdown is what I'm getting at here. The touchdown share of it, with Green Bay kind of hurting in the secondary. I like Devon Achane's receiving for sure. Because we're not Quay Walker's not gonna be able to guard Devon Achane. Keyshawn Nixon can't guard a stone. I think Devon Achane's heavy here in the pass game because I think Green Bay can play Miami's run a little bit, and I think that calls for a lot of dump offs and short passes. And once they get to the goal line, like Raheem Mostert is just not a thing anymore. It's Devon Achane.
No, he's done.
Yeah.
It's Achane or it's going to be right.
Right.
Mostert's not.
Although I could, you need a long shot, not for fantasy, but for like a DFS play for an underdog pick. I don't hate like an Alec Ingold touchdown coming home.
That's true. Trevor, what do you think of those 5 running backs?
I was highlighting on Achane too. I mean, this is just one of those games I think where the Packers just get lit up by opposing offense. It's specifically running around their running game. They have their absolute hands full. They had their hands full against the Bears. Although the game got out of hand, and I will never say the Packers weren't in control, the 49ers were pretty close for a lot of that game too. And they have everybody and their mothers injured on that team. So Achane is just too fast. To your point, nobody can guard him. Nobody can tackle him. None of this. Quay Walker sucks. He's just going to run riots. If there's a line out there for him to get over, 150 all-purpose yards, with the odds, I'm taking it. So I love him this week. I think he's an easy top 5 no matter what.
No Edgerrin Cooper for the Packers this week. No Jair Alexander still for the Packers. Probably out a decent bit with that torn. I believe it was a PCL.
Yes.
That stinks. But speaking of that, Kyle Singer, pick Tua or Love. I have them back to back in my rankings. I think I'm going to flip them from what I currently have. I think I'm going to go Tua. I think both are fine. Truly the only knock I have against Tua, and I can't tell if it's a valid one or not, but I have more because I hate him as a person. But overall, it's like, can he play in the cold weather? That's it. That's all it is this week. Because anyone with 2 receiving weapons can beat the Packers.
Yeah.
They're like that. Lately, they've just been running against people who don't have more than 1 weapon. So if you can get 2 people involved, you should be able to move the ball all over the Packers. And the Dolphins should be able to do that. They have weapons all over. So I think I like Tua. With that being said, if the Packers get out fast and force the Dolphins to be one-dimensional and not run the ball at all, I think the Packers can eat this Miami offensive line too.
For sure.
So but I think if we think about the other way, then I think the Packers have to run the ball. I don't think they're just going to drop back and pass it against Jalen Ramsey and company. So,
especially with Love's number one guy down.
Yeah, and for the people at home, he is the number one guy. Let's remember that. Mr. Ranked 30th overall, Christian Watson, and he's in the 30s again this week for a lot of people. He's not the number one at all. Neither is Jayden Reed, by the way. Jayden Reed's the most talented, maybe, but he doesn't play the number one receiver for those at home. Is Jordan Love too reckless with the ball right now? I don't think it's reckless.
No.
I don't think he's a good player.
No, I mean, I think he's just playing. I don't know. I agree with you. Like, I don't think that he's the greatest quarterback that's ever faced been on the face of the earth. I don't think he's the worst quarterback. He's just an average quarterback who's trying to make a play.
He's fine. Yeah. I just don't like the comparisons to Brett Favre because like Brett Favre tried to fit it in a keyhole. And by the way, he didn't throw that many more interceptions than other people. Like Brett Favre wasn't the most reckless player of all time either. If you actually look back, it's just sort of a narrative that stuck. But Brett Favre's biggest issue was just trying to throw it through people, like just trying to fit it in the little slot because he could. He was that talented, and half the time it worked, half the time it didn't. Worth the risk. Jordan Love's not looking at those situations and being like, I can get it to this guy. It's just bad decisions. It's a little bit different. And it's not forcing it downfield into a bad decision.
Yeah,
hey, there's 3 defenders in the flat. Let's see if I can lob it up to one of them. That's what it is right now.
It seems like for Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, right, is like I'm gonna make the play. The receiver's not gonna have to do anything. I'll just get the ball to him. For Jordan Love, it seems like I'm gonna throw it up and let the receiver make the play.
I mean, as simple as a pitch and catch slant is, like Jordan Love will throw it behind the receiver and slow them down. They have to reach back for it. Like there's no extended handoffs in this offense. If that makes sense. There should be. There could be. There was last year.
There used to only be that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, any downfield back shoulder to Jordy or James Jones is just like, okay, well, that's automatic. Any other questions, definitely fire them at us. Otherwise, is there a running back specifically you guys would like to talk about?
What do you guys have any strong thoughts on the Tampa Bay running back room this week? I know that there's a lot of people that are hard over Bucky Irvin, which rightfully so. He's been fine, but I don't necessarily know Rachaad White's totally out of this offense. Either Sean Tucker. I mean, Sean Tucker scored last week.
Yeah, White's for sure not out of the offense. How many carries did he get? He had 12. So he had 12 carries. Bucky Irving, I think, had around 12. Irving had exactly 12. The thing I'm surprised about is how many receptions and targets Bucky Irving's getting right now. That's surprising to me. So I think he's the number one guy for sure. But it's a split. So you can only put him so high. You can only assume he's going to get so many. But I mean, he's playing the Panthers, so touchdown upside's pretty high.
Yeah, it kind of feels like Bucky Irvin's like an RB2, right? And Rachaad White's probably like a flex RB3 kind of play.
Yep, and Tucker you can't trust.
Right.
But yeah, I like them. Achane, by the way, I do like him. You guys both talked him up quite a bit. He is going to be a pickup for Guillotine for me this week. Yeah, and I can say that.
Oh,
I can only bid 55. I can bid 55 and get him automatically. So I am going to be doing that. That is going to be. It's such a weird freaking league. It's hard to tell what to do. Other running backs. Roschon Johnson's getting quite a bit of usage right now. I like him a lot. Pacheco's coming back. That's what we should talk about. I don't think Pacheco's coming back to be the bell cow ever, but especially this week right away. So I do still have Kareem Hunt ranked above him. They'll probably become a little bit closer with the next rankings update. I currently have Kareem Hunt at 25 and Pacheco at 37. They play the Raiders. I like the matchup. Like I said, I could see Hunt moving down a little bit, Pacheco moving up a little bit, but I think this is going to be a pretty close to a 50-50 split by the end of the season.
Well, that's a good point that I was interested in because one of my leagues, I'm in a game where I could certainly help my playoff chances by winning. But, obviously my running backs 1 and 2 are Bijan and Monty. My wide receiver 1 and 2 are Wilson and Hill. And then it's, who do I play between Devontae, Pacheco, and Devontae Smith? Obviously, I'm throwing Smith out the window, but, where do you rank him against a wide receiver like Devontae Adams?
I'm going to trust Devontae Adams over him. Yeah, I know it's tough, but I think it's about pride at this point. So the guy who brought you in got canned. The head coach got canned. Everyone's saying Rodgers is going to leave. They're saying everyone's giving up on Rodgers in the building. Rodgers expressing the exact opposite, that's a completely fake report. They just had a bye week. It feels like this is a week where Devontae and Rodgers especially should be on the same page. Will it happen? I don't know. But mindset-wise, psychologically, it should be. And I kind of just have to rely on that. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know.
Yeah.
Luke, what's your thoughts on those two?
Can you say those again? Sorry, I missed the first part of that.
He's essentially deciding between Pacheco and Devontae Adams.
I mean, I think Devontae Adams, to me, it doesn't feel like totally that Pacheco is, sole owner of this backfield this week, right? I don't think you phase Kareem Hunt out at all. I shouldn't say at all, but I don't think you completely take him out. I know the Chiefs want to win, but this is necessarily not a must-win game for him. You don't want Pacheco hurt before the playoffs, So I don't think Hunt is totally out of this offense. And I'm with you. Things take time. I know Rodgers and Devontae haven't been together for 3 years now. You get them, it gets a little more time. I think there's still good skies ahead for Devontae Adams here.
It's insane how after 2 weeks, everyone's like, "Oh, I thought you guys were going to be good." People don't, there's no slack cut with Aaron Rodgers, and I guess I get it, but holy shit.
Yep.
Relax a little bit, work them into an offense. And by the way, as soon as Devontae comes in, let's change the offense. Let's change everything, change the play caller, change how we're doing things. Hey, and then after that, let's get rid of the GM. It's complete disarray. It's a complete nightmare. It wouldn't surprise me if they're firing the cooks. They're getting rid of replacing the trainers midseason. Everything there is just ran by losers. It makes perfect sense why they lose.
It's kind of to a lesser extent what the Bears do, with constantly changing. You can't expect a quarterback to thrive when there's constant change. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers missed all of last year from an injury. That's getting lost too. It's insane.
On top of that, and I'll stick up for my guy Aaron here. Everyone's talking about how now everything in New York is Aaron Rodgers' fault. That everything that has happened this year has happened for the last 12 years without Aaron Rodgers being in town.
Yeah, I'm talking about, last year's stats were better than this year's stats. What's the only difference? Aaron Rodgers. It's not. You fired your head coach. You fired your GM. You fired everybody. There's a little bit of difference. There's a little bit more pressure. You have a harder schedule. There's so many things different.
Your kicker missed 7 kicks in the first 2 weeks. He's been awful.
Bad. There's at least 2 to 3 wins that he cost them.
Mm-hmm.
And this would be completely different. Many people would still have their jobs. There's be so many different things right now. Pretty insane. But yeah, relax, should be fine. I think it's more likely than not that Aaron Rodgers is the starting quarterback for the Jets next year. There's just so many fake reports and bullshit. But if you want to listen to Diane Rossini, it's not like she's had a track record of being wrong every time. So you could continue to listen to her. Her inside sources are really, really good, especially with the Jets.
Did you see that story? Not to derail the show, but did you see the story of I think it came out last week, but remember when Mike Mularkey was at Tennessee and Ian Rappaport, he put out a report that Tennessee was horrible. Mike Mularkey was going to get fired. So Ian Rappaport got a great inside source that he was staying, and then Mike Mularkey got fired the next day. It's because Mike Mularkey texted Ian Rappaport that he was staying, even though he knew that he was getting fired.
So stupid.
It's incredible.
It's pretty good. And that's a good way to make your ownership look bad too. So that's a good move by Mularkey. I like it.
He wanted to go scorch earth on Tennessee.
Yeah, fuck it. That's what we are going to see. So many more stories come out about the Jets. And why wouldn't Douglas and Saleh just fucking go scorched earth?
Yeah.
I would. The only reason they wouldn't is because they want people like Aaron to succeed there still.
Right.
Like if they know Rodgers is out, by the way, there's going to be some fun stories coming out. I can guarantee that. Wide receivers here quickly. Top 5, and then we'll look at who I'm mostly different on. But I have Nico at number 1 at the Jags. I have Puka 2 at the Saints. AJ Brown 3 at the Ravens. Jamar Chase 4 at the Steelers or versus the Steelers. And then I have Amon-Ra tomorrow versus the Bears at 5. Trevor, what do you think of those receivers?
I mean, that's pretty straightforward. For me, I know Justin Jefferson got locked down last week. Locked down. I mean, the Bears just decided to beat us with anybody but Justin Jefferson, which is a fair strategy. So to anybody freaking out, like, Bears did what they needed to, and that was good. The Cardinals just absolutely suck. Like, we've talked about it so many times. Their secondary is garbage. I'd expect a big game from Justin Jefferson here. I think even if they do put 2 people on Justin Jefferson, I still don't think it matters. I think he's that much better in this crap secondary. So I'm looking for a huge bounce back from him. And I'll go a step further, just based on gut instinct, I feel like Justin Jefferson could finish as wide receiver 1 this week. I like him there. I think he has a great bounce back week. And I also like how he kind of responded to last week. Like, not like usually you have receivers that are hotheads. It seems like he kind of knows like what his role is, and they won, so it doesn't matter. So he's going to go off this week, so fire him up, be happy for him.
To be honest, like with a lot of the projections and rankings I do, I'm a big like vibes guy and sports psychology guy. So like you look at the Neighbors thing last week, you look at the Jefferson thing this week. Truthfully, I think the Vikings will make it a point to get him the ball. So exactly what you're saying. My only worry is if Budda Baker's the one playing over top on him, because Cardinals secondary is bad except for Budda. So truly just pass to the side of the field where Budda is not, and you're fine. If he makes it his life mission to not let Justin Jefferson beat him, then the Vikings, I think, are just going to default to Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, which are good players to fall back on. That's my only worry. Yeah. But early, I think they'll try Jefferson.
Yeah. I really like that you put Nico Collins at number 1. Because it's still like Nico Collins is an awesome receiver. I think he's probably a top 5 receiver. It doesn't feel like people think that he's a top 5 receiver for whatever reason. But when he came back in this offense, it kind of got this offense got injected a little bit of life into it, which obviously so, right? You bring a good receiver in. But with great matchup against Jacksonville, I don't know. I love it. I love it this week.
Earlier this year, 12 catches, 151 yards and a touchdown, and that doesn't feel unattainable this week.
Right.
Like I glazed up Tennessee earlier in the show. I still think they're very good. 5 for 92 and a touchdown doesn't necessarily blow you away, but that was a very good week from him last week, and I think it proved that he's fully back, in my opinion. Pater, what's up, bud? Thanks for coming back. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. I need 2 wide receivers to flex out of Shakir, Flowers, Waddle, Devontae Smith if he plays, Aaron Jones, Jonnu Smith, and Hawkinson. Full PPR for tight end, half PPR for the other 2. Who would you start? So he needs 4, at least 2 being receivers. Am I wrong to think I like Waddle almost the most out of these guys?
I disagree personally. Like, I think this is a bold strategy, but I love Jonnu Smith and I love Hawkinson, full PPR for tight end. I love both of them. I do not like sitting Jones, but I think Jonnu, Hawkinson, Waddle, and then Shakir probably for me.
I have Flowers, I think, ranked above Shakir.
What do the Ravens have this week?
Ravens have the Eagles.
Oh, tough game.
So that's like, I think Devontae Smith actually could have a pretty darn good game if he plays. It's just you have to rely on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I'm probably saying Devontae, but I'm probably going to go Flowers, Waddle, and I don't mind going both tight ends.
I don't know. I like Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, and I'm not a guy who's ever gonna sit Aaron Jones, so probably Aaron Jones and then Jonnu Smith would be my 4.
Jones is so tough this week. I don't know, man. He's good. He's such a good player. I'm worried about Cam Akers being good. I know that's music to your ears, but I think he looks pretty good.
Well, I said it the other day. Kyron Williams is what I thought Cam Akers was going to be.
And also what Cam Akers thought he was going to be as well.
Yeah.
Little bit of a bad news that he got there. Domo, half PPR, was offered Jonathan Taylor, Pickens, and Evan Engram for Harrison Jr., Tracy, and Bucky. He has CD, Buka, A-Chain, and Najee as his other positions. Do you think I do this trade? Guaranteed playoff spot already.
No.
You'd rather have Tracy and Bucky and Harrison Jr.?
Oh, I'm
Who's
sorry.
your tight end?
No, I'm sorry. I'd rather have Jonathan Taylor, Pickens, and Evan Engram.
I think so as well. Yeah, especially yeah. I think Jonathan Taylor's the best running back of the bunch. Is that debatable?
No, it's not.
Okay. Pickens, I think, might be the best receiver of the bunch.
Yeah, agree with that.
So, and Evan Engram, no doubt about it, he's the best tight end in the trade. So, yeah, I think I would do that.
Yeah, on top of it too, Jacksonville's got a couple tough receiver matchups coming up this week. Like I can see Evan Engram working in the middle of the field well. I think Evan Ingram's involved a lot moving forward.
I think so too. Trevor Lawrence practicing this week, which suggests he's not done for the season. I don't know. I don't think he necessarily comes back this week.
Crazy if they play him this year.
Yeah, so stupid. It's got to be like a favor to Doug Peterson. You know what I mean?
I think we're a week late on this, but what a horrible thing for Saad Khan to say that this is the best Jacksonville Jaguars team of all time.
Did you see
how
are these people reaction to that in the press conference though?
Yeah. He's like, where are the players?
No. Yeah. That was yeah. I feel so bad for Doug Peterson. He's such a good football coach. And I think that he still has the locker room. Like they're not quitting. And I think that says a lot because they should be quitting right now. If Trevor Lawrence comes back because he wants to play for Doug Peterson and you fire Doug Peterson, you better get Dabo.
Yeah.
Because Trevor Lawrence isn't going to play for somebody harder than Doug Peterson, I don't think.
Yeah.
And they might get Dabo. And boy, that would be fun too. Dabo versus Harbaugh in the NFL. Like, much good stuff.
I have a question since he brought up Tyrone Tracy that I kind of know the answer to, but I just talk about it anyways. I'm in a guillotine league, not ours, a different one. I'm one of the last 6, which is crazy because I don't really have a great team. And just, and I'm not really, I'm kind of middle of the pack every single week. Anyways, I've been starting Tyrone Tracy, Cedric Tillman, Brian Thomas for like the last 4 weeks, when they're in. I just picked up Devon A-Chain, so he'll go in for one of those guys. It's two flex spots. He'll go in for one of those guys. Jalen Waddle sitting out on waivers. Marvin Harrison sitting out on waivers. Jaden Reed sitting out on waivers. Jameson Williams is sitting out on waivers. It's free pickups because the bids already went through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can trust Brian Robinson or Tillman that much.
I'm sorry,
especially
this Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas.
Oh, still, I think I like multiple guys there.
Yeah.
I would do that.
So I picked. So the number one there is Jalen Waddle in my mind. Out of those 4 guys I listed, Waddle, Reed, Williams, and whoever the other one was, and Marvin Harrison.
I like Williams too.
The issue with playing with Waddle is I already have A-Chain and Jonnu Smith going. Not an issue.
I mean, I don't think it's an issue right now. I think they're getting them all involved. I think Waddle can be matchup based. Whether you play him or not. But this week, we know what wide receiver 2s do against the Packers. So I think he's good.
And on top of that, Cedric Tillman, if he plays coming off a concussion, at least for this week, and then he's playing Denver, right?
Yeah.
I don't like the matchup this week.
I am wondering, you think he's droppable for one of those guys?
Droppable, maybe not.
I think he's droppable just because I don't know if people are going to flock to pick him up, considering those are the type of people out there. So I don't think he has a good week.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right.
So,
all right. I'll be right.
You go get it. Go get it. Okay, we'll wrap up the show here by quickly. By the way, I was pretty strong on not liking Ladd McConkey last week. Worked out. I like him this week quite a bit. So if you have Ladd McConkey, I think he's one of the top receivers this week. Tight ends quickly. Travis Kelce is going to beat up on the Raiders again. I have him at number 1. Brock Bowers is going to beat up on the Chiefs. He's number 2. Trey McBride 3. Taysom Hill, talked about him earlier. I do have him at number 4. Consensus. Let's see where the consensus has him. Consensus. This can't be right? Does the consensus have him at... Oh, Fantasy Pros are just glitching. Okay. One more time. Let's try it this time. Okay, it's glitching. It's telling me consensus has him at number 1. That can't be
I'm pretty sure he was 5 when I looked up. I just pulled it up for the show.
Okay. Yeah, it's telling me 1, but it's not giving me the option to switch to half PPR. I don't know. But then number 5, I have Hawkinson followed by Jonnu Smith. I also have Cade Otton top 10. I was pretty strong on him having a bad matchup last week. This week against Carolina, I think he gets back involved. He's not going to be as involved with Mike Evans back, but I like him quite a bit. I think there's a lot of good tight end options this week. There's some guys who have been very playable that have really bad matchups, in my opinion. Like, I don't love the Dallas tight ends. I don't love Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah.
I don't love Cole Kmet. I don't love people like that. But overall, like, there's quite a bit of tight end value around. This could be a Dalton Schultz week against the Panthers. And I've been hating him all year long.
Oh.
I've been so happy to be off of him. This could be a Dalton Schultz week.
Against the Jags, right?
Yes, sorry, Jags.
Okay.
Jags are so bad.
Yeah.
He was the guy I was going to bring up, not Schultz, but Schoonmaker for Dallas. Obviously, it looks like Ferguson's a long shot. You don't like him against the Giants. Is it just the matchup, or is there anything else sitting there for you? Because obviously he's been good the last 2 weeks. That doesn't say anything about being good on a short week, but just was interested in your thoughts.
Well, he'll get peppered with targets, but the Giants have the best tight end defender in the NFL, I think. They have Isaiah Simmons guarding tight ends. So you're saying you got a 6'4", 6'5" mammoth who moves like a D-back covering tight ends? That's the perfect person. But the whole thing is that these tight ends are big and extremely athletic. They're basketball players. And now they got one on defense. They couldn't have gotten a better player. And that's why, Giants have been so good against tight ends. On the flip side, like, you have people on Detroit doing the same type of thing. You have Brian Branch covering them sometimes. So that's why I don't like Cole Kmet, even though, again, past 2 weeks I've been pretty strong on him getting involved. But Schoonmaker, like, I think PPR leagues, he'll have a decent floor just because, like, he'll see 4 or 5 targets, but could he have 4 catches for 20 yards? For sure.
Yeah. Noah Gray has been a popular pickup, given he has 3 touchdowns, like the only 3 touchdowns of his career the last 2 weeks or whatever.
I think 4. I think 2 in back-to-back games, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he plays the Raiders. There isn't a better matchup to score another touchdown.
Yeah.
Could he? Sure. If you are that desperate at tight end where you're just looking for a flyer, you're in a 16-team league and need somebody with value, he's fine. Like, he's going to be on the field.
Yeah.
But you can't trust that he's going to score more than 3 points. You can't assume it.
Right.
Where's
agreed.
Consensus.
The other one, while you're looking that up, the other one that I don't think people like, he caught a touchdown last week. I think Tucker Kraft is fine too. The week before, he would have had a touchdown if Jordan Love could throw an accurate pass. That some people said was Tucker Kraft's fault. Did you guys see that against the Bears? That one that he threw like way over. Some people said it was high enough for it. Stupid.
I will say though, and it's been the whole thing again, Tucker Kraft doesn't have the workload to play for fantasy. I understand he'll catch touchdowns. Noah Gray, 9 targets the past 2 weeks. Tucker Kraft, 3.
Yeah.
He better fucking score a touchdown.
The thing that's nice about Kraft is I'm sure those 3 have come in the red zone.
Yeah. Probably. He's Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
Jimmy Graham.
I mean, I have Tucker Kraft in our Yahoo League. It's 14 teams just because there's nobody else out there. I mean, he's great when he catches a touchdown, man, because that really gives you juice. But I mean, to your point, I'm not sitting waiting for anything. Like, if he puts up 1 point for me, I'm like, well, it's Tucker Kraft. So, I mean, if you're starting him, it better be a deep league, or you better just be completely giving up on life.
2 catches, 26 yards, and a touchdown last week. That's good for tight end 13.5 PPR.
Okay.
If you score a touchdown, you're top 15 no matter what.
Right.
So it is what it is. Like, again, Miami, he probably could beat some guys right now on Miami. Like, it could be a decent matchup. The Packers are just running the ball so damn much. So he's blocking. And then when he needs to take a break, then they pass the football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they use him as a blocker more than anything else right now. He's Mercedes Lewis right now. Shout out to Big Dog.
Shout out. Still playing football.
Yeah, still playing well. I understand he's not a fantasy guy, but playing well. This one is for Trevor. Did you watch Liverpool, Real Madrid?
I didn't watch it because I have a job that I had to be at, but it was apparently a good game. Mbappe's stock did fall off. If you're watching, you're a soccer fan. Guess what? Anybody with a brain that knew soccer could have predicted that. It's like taking who's the best.
Mbappe would fall off.
Yeah, he's one of the best players in the world, but you stick him into a team that has perfect cohesion. It's like taking a Kadarius Toney and throwing him into like the fucking not Chiefs, but I mean, you take a great player that's a distraction that thinks everything's about him, that's selfish, throw him into a well-oiled machine. Shocker, it didn't work out. How many times do we need to do this in sports? It's insane.
I'm no soccer fan, but Mbappe is a lot better soccer player than Kadarius Toney is football player.
He is.
I don't know. Luke,
but hey, listen,
Kadarius Toney's guy.
Kadarius Toney has never missed a penalty. That's a fact.
Mbappe has never had a game-winning play in the Super Bowl. Kadarius Toney did.
Well, didn't Mbappe like win the World Cup for him? For France?
Does that matter?
They lost to Argentina, and in the other game it was like Paul Pogba and nobody else.
That's right.
I got to tell you, winning an NFL game in week 4 feels bigger than the World Cup to me.
Yeah.
So,
comparisons. Zach, winning like game 41 of the MLB season feels much more than winning a World Cup to me. So I agree with you 100%.
Mbappe is like James Harden moving teams. Did you really expect different results? Did we not learn anything from the first couple stops? Come on.
Okay.
James Harden,
he is playing kind of good right now. They might win it all. They could win a World Cup for sure.
But I get your point, Trevor. It's like him moving the nets. I get it.
Yeah. NBA has that sort of issue, I think, overall right now too. By the way,
I think
making it unwatchable.
Yeah, NBA has an issue of a 39-year-old in Los Angeles right now.
That's a pretty big issue. But we got 4 All-Star teams this year, so NBA's back, baby. And NBA Cup, I assume, has been electric. I don't know. I haven't watched.
There's been some games.
Okay.
But I mean, two All-Star NBA teams in an All-Star game was unwatchable. Now we're adding more players to this.
Yeah.
Good thing Adam destroyed the NBA goal, right? He's still one of the best commissioners in sports.
He's so bad, dude.
Yeah.
He wants to do well, but he doesn't know how to do it, I think.
Right.
Like, I think he's a good guy, which you can't really say for a lot of commissioners. Like, I think he wants to improve the NBA. I just think he's bad. Everything he touched goes to shit.
We need to stop putting white guys who have never played the sport in their life in commissioner positions. I feel like that's just a good rule of thumb. If you have
Mr. KG,
turn
this around.
I'm sorry, Adam Silver, but your only redeeming quality is your ears are like satellite dishes. Like that's all you have. Why are you in charge of this? Put a former player up there. Anybody except for Chris Paul. Don't put him in charge.
True.
Honestly, I don't know how Kareem Abdul-Jabbar isn't a commissioner yet.
Right.
He feels like he should have.
He's such a dick.
So? Does that matter?
Just as much as we'd hate it, just give it to LeBron. You want to throw up and give it to LeBron.
Yeah, Roger Goodell's just a really fun guy off the field. Like, does that matter? Like, I've heard a lot of businessmen being kind of dicks. You know what I mean? It's okay.
Trevor, LeBron already is the commissioner.
Basically.
It's a fair point.
It's so annoying. Okay, we don't need to talk about this, but we will be back in a couple of minutes here with Lombardi Sweep. We will be talking about the Packers, Dolphins, Thanksgiving game, giving our picks, giving a breakdown. That's good for fantasy football and betting as well. So if you want to come back, ask questions, listen to us talk Packers, we will be doing that, and we will be back soon. Enjoy your thing.